All right. So in this class, we are going to talk about the four different views. And when we talk about the four different views, we're talking about the four different ways that the architect presents the project to us in sheet to sheet. And the whole idea from going from one view to the other views is to give you more detail. And so what we're going to do is connect the screens right now, and we're going to discuss in detail the four different views. So let's share the screen. All right. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to pan in to our first view, which is a plan view. And remember that a set of construction documents is just a graphical representation of a project where the architect tries to give you as much information as needed to build this building based on our specifications, make sure it doesn't fall down, all that good stuff. And the way that they do that is to take you from view to view to view to view to give you a full idea of the project, what the scope of work is, and all of the details involved. Okay, so the first of the four views is our plan view. It's now you'll be able to, or your homework will be to be able to tell me in your own words, if you had to explain it to a kid, what the different views are. And remember, a set of construction documents is just a graphical representation of a project. And so we put lines and symbols and everything together to give the carpenter a good idea of what we're trying to build. And so the first of the views is the most basic, and that's the plan view. That's the view of the project. It's more of an aerial view. It's as if you're hovering over the project, flying over it. It's the most basic of the views. Gives you a good idea of what we're going to be doing in our project, but it doesn't give you much detail. Okay, so this is our site plan, which tells us all about the project outside the building. Okay, so again, plan view, the most basic of the views. And when people say, oh, send me the plans, it's pretty much a misnomer because a plan is a way of looking at the project. Again, the most basic view, aerial views, is if you're hovering over it. And what we're looking at right now is a site plan. And so now we're going to go to the floor plan because that's going to take us to all of the other views. Okay, so what's important when you go from plan to plan to plan, let me go back to site plan, is that when we're looking at a sheet, it's based on a particular scale. Okay, and so you have to understand what we mean by scale. And what scale means is that we're able to take a large area and scale it down with however they do the graphics. I'm not into that part, but what they do is they scale it down to a size that you can fit on a sheet of paper. And so what you need to know is every different plan, depending on, what we're looking at. Right now, this is the site plan. It's a very large area, so it's given us a very large scale. And so what we want to be able to do when we get a full-size set of construction documents, we want to be able to take our ruler and make measurements. And so scale, what they tell us each sheet is scaled at, gives us the ability to do that. And so for our site plan, for every 1 inch, it actually means 20 feet. So every time you take a measurement and you're measuring by the inch and you're going by the inches, well, each one of those actually means 20 feet. And so it's important to make sure your plans are to scale. And so depending on what you use to measure to take your takeoffs, which is to take your measurements, depending on what you use, if you use a ruler, then you're going to have to print a full-size copy of the plans and do the measurements this way with a ruler. But if you have a digitized software, like we used to teach on, then you can tell your software what the scale is and measure a stretch along your set just to make sure it lines up with what it should be. And then when you're taking your measurements, that your measurements are accurate. Okay, so that is scale. Each sheet's going to be a little different depending on the area, the size of what we're looking at. Again, this is a site plan, and so you're going to have a very large scale, as opposed to a floor plan, which is a smaller area, and so you have a smaller scale. And so if we print a real size, legal size, I guess, copy of these plans, if we're using a ruler for our floor plan, for every 1/4 of an inch, that really means 1 foot. But what this floor plan has are a lot of dimensions or a lot of measurements already on it that we can use to make pretty accurate measurements of everything we need to have here. But again, excuse me, what we're talking about is the view, and this is the floor plan, and we need to understand, no matter what we're looking at, we have to understand, to make sure we understand what scale we're on, and to set our digitized software to that scale, or make sure when we're taking measurements with a ruler that we are conforming to whatever scale that particular sheet indicates it is. And your scale can be different sheet to sheet. All right, so now plan view. We're still on the most basic of the views. We went from a site plan to a floor plan, and our floor plan, same thing. Most basic of the views, it gives us a good idea of our wall construction inside our project, but there's a lot of things we don't get from a floor plan. We don't get any detail. From our floor plan, what we can do is use, now what we're looking at is basically outlines of what is indicated as walls, right? All of these are all the new interior walls, and these are the exterior bearing walls that are going to be built, okay? And so we're looking at the plan view of that, and so we can use the measurements on the plans in order to take actual measurements of these walls. So we learned in our elementary math that when parallel lines by definition are lines that will never cross, and if we have the measurement of 1, then we can assume that same measurement is of the unknown segment of line. We have the measurement of this parallel segment of line that is parallel to this B wall, and so we can assume that, and how we read this, and again on construction documents, lines, symbols, everything's important. How we read that this 7-foot 10-inch stretch of B wall is from hash mark, which is that diagonal little piece of line that intersects the horizontal and vertical axis, that hash mark to hash mark right here at this point. And so the number in between is the actual length. Okay, so they're giving us another hash mark to hash mark, but this area right here is too small to fit that 6 1/2, and so that refers to that, and then that 8 1/2 inch refers to where they have the 1/2 inside of. Hash mark to hash mark, hash mark to hash mark, and you can reuse hash marks, and whatever number's in between is your actual length. Okay, so that's what you can use your floor plan for. We're still on our first view, plan view. Okay, so on our plan view, we have some symbols, and now it gets kind of hairy. Second view is our section view. Okay, and this is a section view marker. Okay, a section view marker, remember what it looks like, little circle with a triangle hat, points to one direction or the other, and has that long little, what I call its leg, and then a little foot, right? And so wherever that leg is going through, that section view marker is referencing that section. Okay, remember, a set of construction documents is a graphical representation. And so after you get used to what you're looking at, what we are looking at, or what this is trying to represent, is a 3-pane window. Okay, the 3 panes right there, and they call it window A. Everything is marked. This is wall B, so that's a wall tag, window tag, and this is a section view marker. Remember, the architect can only give you symbols and direct you here, there, go here and there to get different views, and what we're focusing on are the views. Plan view will take us to section view. As you see, we have a lot of those markers all throughout the exterior walls here, and here's some more representation. These wings indicate those are doors. This is a double door that they call door 1 in that circle. All kind of symbols and numbers all over the place. Try to follow me. This is door, double door 1A, okay? And so everything here has a meaning because the architect needs us to build these walls in the correct way. And so all throughout the project, the architect is saying, by giving you section view markers, saying, Carpenter, here at the exterior bathroom walls, I need you to understand that wall construction is that way. Here at the double doors, that wall construction is that way. Okay? And so it's just at those individual points in time. That's why you have so many of them. Over this window, at that door, at the rear of that bathroom, here at this stretch. Okay? And then you have 2 7 over A126 and 8 over A126 here at our mop sink. And so what the architect is saying is that wherever that leg is going through, that's the only wall, and these are section views, wall section views. So that is the only wall that this section view refers to. Okay, so it's going through that wall right there, where this 8 over is going through 2 walls. And so the architect is saying wherever you see in that section view, you need to apply it to this wall and this wall. You need to apply it to both vertical walls of the mop sink, but not to the horizontal portion, because I have a totally different section view for that. That's why you have your section views. So all throughout your project, you're going to see section views because, again, the architect needs to let the carpenter know the construction is like this here, and then like this over here, and then like this over there. Okay? So let's look at an actual section view. Okay, so remember, we're going over the 4 views. Plan view, we already looked at. Most basic view, like you're hovering over it. Our floor plan took us to a section view marker. And how you read that is you're going to go to image at the top, page number at the bottom. So what the architect is saying to me, by putting this marker right here at window A, they're telling me, Stacy, I need to show you the wall construction now, not how long the wall is, but the actual wall construction, and I can show you that at window A if you go look at picture number 1 on page A426. So let's go to that now. Wall section views. Picture number 1, that's this, at page page A426, page number lower right. Okay, so what I know now that I didn't know before, right, from the plan view, this is a section view. As we see, we get more detail. Section view is telling me a lot more than the plan view told me. Section view is telling me the wood construction. Now I know it's 2x6 wood studs. I know the height of the wall under the window. Plan view didn't tell me that. I know here's our storefront. That's that 3-pane window we saw. Okay, and now I know we've got some representations here, a bunch of symbols. Those X's always represent blocking. Blocking is 2x6. That's a 2x6. Just laying down horizontally above and below the window. That's a big one. That's a beam. That's a big one. That's a beam, and then that's a 2x6. They're all laying on each other. And remember, this is a section view. Like you cutting it like a cake. You took that leg from the plan view and you cut that just at that one point like a cake, and now you can see all interior construction. Much more detail than a plan view. Gives you everything you need to know in terms of construction. All right, now next, the third view is the detail view. Okay? Again, the whole point of the views is to give you more and more detail on how to build your walls. Okay? From our floor plan, we got our length. From our section view, we got our height. Okay, our blocking, our insulation, our wood, our framing types, our heights, all that from section view. Now, the architect's saying, well, you're not finished because there's something you need to know in this area, ... circle. Okay, same concept applies. Image number 5, page A600, same concept applies. And what the architect is trying to tell you now, I need to give you more detail here at the intersection of this bottom wall, but between where the bottom window and upper wall meet. And also you have another one here, 6 over 450, A450. Architect saying I need to give you more info about the intersection of our foundation, right? See foundation, see we are in our A plans, right? So it's just going to reference us to where we need to see foundation information. And where do we need to see foundation information? Not in the A plans, but in the S plans, in the structural set. Okay, so that's why it's not telling us anything about our foundation, because it has all its information in the set of plans where it should have all its information, which is in the structural set. Okay, so detail view markers, we're going to go there. So let's recap. 1, plan view, most basic view. Okay, we looked at the site plan, aerial view, pretty much like you're hovering over it, parachuting down. Then we went to the floor plan. A smaller area, but still same concept. From our floor plan, we went to the section view, where it's where we are at right now. Section view gives us more detail. It's as if we took that section view marker leg, right, and we cut the wall down from top to bottom like a knife, and this is what we see. So we can determine our wall construction, insulation, wall heights, and now we're going more detailed into our wall construction. That's why it is called a detail marker. The detail marker is the last of the views related to actual construction. So now we're going to go to, same concept applies, image number 5, A600, and let's go there. Image number 5. Okay, we're at A600. Let's find image number 5. All right, here we go. Detail marker. What we didn't have, what we have here, what we didn't have on the section view, continuous CONT, that means continuous, continuous caulking, continuous flashing under window, some more continuous flashing filled with grout. Under that, the 15-pound felt membrane on the plywood behind the stone, all of that, okay? Detail view marker. This is the last of the construction views, okay? In terms of wall construction, in terms of anything construction, right? It goes to the heart of the construction. It's the last, it's the details. That's why they call it a detail view marker, okay? Let's go to the fourth of the views. Okay, fourth view is a interior and exterior elevation views. Okay, so I'm going to pan into the kitchen elevation. Okay, so if you look at that, it's basically just standing your walls up, okay, and showing you where everything is placed, whether it is we're in the kitchen now, and so now we see where all the kitchen and looks like electrical panels are located on this wall, okay? So the elevation view is not so much for construction, which is not. It's more for all of your finishes. Let's go to another interior. This is interior in the dining room area. Okay, so this is an interior elevation view. It elevates the wall, stands them up, and shows us where all of our finishes go. Okay, so we have those abbreviations, P1, CR1, WS1. Well, that's from our finish schedule. And remember, schedule is just a fancy term for list. Okay, so interior elevation stands up the wall. It's not more so for construction, more for the finish trades. And then we'll look at an exterior elevation. So this is the outside of the building. Okay, so it's not for construction. The walls have already been built. It's all for what goes on the walls, right? Because we're in the A plans. That makes sense. What goes on the walls after we built them. Our brick veneer. And remember, you have section view markers here. And again, the markers take you from what we're looking at to another sheet for the sole purpose of giving you more detail at that particular location. And so when I say that particular location, most likely everywhere where our stucco meets our brick veneer. And so let's go back to interior elevation views. Let's look at the markers, right? So the interior elevation view marker is just this marker, this circle with the hat, no legs, right? Because elevation views are showing you what finishes on all of the walls, right? And so it's going to point to north, south, east, west, because typically a room has 4 walls, right? And so they want you to know what's going on each wall. And so it's going to point in that direction. And so what this interior elevation marker 9 over A120 is telling me is that if I want to know what finishes are going on the north dining room wall, I'm going to go look at image number 9 on page A120. So let me find image number 9 on 120. So image number 9, that's 6. And the way okay, here we go. Okay, so that's that north wall. Image number 9 on this page. So now I know where all my paint goes, da-da-da-da-da. And so here on our floor finish plan, they've given you all of the floor finishes, meaning, you know, what's going on the floor after I put in my concrete, right, my foundation. All of those tags, right, T1, T2, and we get all of that on our finished schedule, right? Schedule's fancy term for list. Okay, so when you have your interior, exterior elevation views, those are only for finishes. And so they need to tell you what all those abbreviations mean, so they give you the floor and the interior finish schedule. So P1, P2, we know what it means. T1, QT1, we know what all that is. So they give you the floor finish plan, and then all of the interior elevation markers to tell you where to go. All right, so to recap, 4 views. Most basic is our plan view. View of the project is if you're hovering over it, aerial view, not much detail, but gives you a good idea about your project. Okay, then we went to our floor plan because the floor plan took us to a lot of the other views. Okay, so we looked at our floor plan, and from our floor plan, we went to section view. Right, view of the project just at that one point in time, as if we've taken that leg now, we cut it from top to bottom like a knife, and now we're going to see our interior construction, heights of walls, da-da-da, we'll go there now. Okay, section view, view of the project just at that one point in time, and so the section view sheet shows you section views of the wall at different locations. Okay? Section view, and then from our section view took us to our last of our construction views, which is a detail view. Right, the detail view. Okay, the most detailed of the views in terms of construction, and that took us there. So that's these views. We're down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, if you had to do a mock of that, you wouldn't have to look at any other sheets, because this is the detailed, most detail, that's why they call it a detail view. And then the elevation views. All right, no, that's exterior. That's details. Hold on, exterior elevation view. View of the project now, not so much for construction, but for finishes. And where all your finishes go. Okay, so boys and girls, that is going to conclude our views class. Hopefully that did bring everything together. Email me if you have any questions or comments. And, let me know if you need anything else. We are recording every class, so you can have this forever and ever and ever, and never forget me. Ha ha. Thanks, and thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.